Greetings, YouTube. Alan Lu back. I'm not wearing my headphones today because, well, I realize I never need to put on my headphones for these videos because I'm not listening to anything. But, anyways, I'm back with a tier list. I haven't done one of these in a while. I used to make these videos like every week, basically. But yeah, I just wanted to share with you my first impressions on the new Outsiders meta. There's a lot of things I don't know about the Outsiders meta, but these are just my first impressions upon like what limited testing I've done and what I hear through the grapevine and things like that. So, yep, let's get right into it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And let's get into the video. So, first, let's just go alphabetical. Why not? Arachne. I'm pretty sure Arachne is probably just going to be C tier. As you can play Azuri the same way as Arachne, except she has basically better hero text for the most part. So I'm just gonna leave Arachne in C. I do think he can like somewhat perform well in the right hands with all the new tools he got, but it really just begs the question of why play Arachne over Azuri. Next we have Azalea, AT for Azalea, but I have heard a lot of good things about Azalea. I think there's so many new cards that help her. The codexes are good. Infecting shots good. Premeditate is crazy. In general, Azalea is a bit more resistant to disruption than Lexi. So I'm just gonna put Azalea in A. I think she's gonna be really strong and highly represented in the beginning. So yeah. Moving on to Bolton. Hasn't really changed. Still not great. Ice heroes are still a thing. He's just not in a great spot. Hopefully, the Dust Till Dawn set that comes out gives him some needed support in the same way that like Azalea and Katsu have gotten support. Bravo, I'm gonna put Bravo in B tier. So many tier lists, I put Bravo in A tier just because I play Bravo, but I just can't help but ignore the fact that he's not the best pick by. I mean, there was some argument to be made last meta after the Winter's Well ban to play Bravo over Oldham, and you saw Kale McCreath do really well at the Calling Auckland with Bravo, but I think just in general, he's just not quite there. And sure, there are like some people who play him exclusively, like Kale, and have a lot of mastery on the hero, but that's that's not the majority of players. So, moving on to Briar, I think Briar is also in B tier. Icelander is a terrible matchup. Oldham's not a great matchup, and I think even like Katsu probably has the edge there because I think Katsu can just pop off a lot more consistently than Briar can. Like Briar, you kind of need to find CMH to do like really unfair stuff, but a lot of these other heroes just have stronger things that they can do every single turn. Moving on to Dash, I honestly have no idea where to put Dash. She's still good into Oldham. She still can go, like a boost game plan versus other decks. But the thing about Dash is that like it's a very tight deck if you want to play like this hybrid Dash list. And in a meta where there's a lot of uncertainty, I feel like Dash probably will suffer a bit. But I think just in general, Dash has a lot of tools. So while I do think she's strong, I don't necessarily think she'll come out of the gate swinging because kind of feels like her deck needs to be tuned really well for the meta. Moving on to Dory, I would probably just put Dory in B tier also. Honestly, I would rate her about the same as Bravo. She just like plays like this quote unquote more fair game plan. But I mean, Dawnblade is also really good. And aggro, you can race aggro and you can play slower versus Guardian, but there's just more factors in the meta now, so I'm not sure how well Dory will do. Moving on to Dromai, I honestly would put Dromai higher than B tier simply due to the fact that she sort of, I guess, plays on a different axis is sort of the thing I'm going for. Like both Dash and Dromai have like the permanence, whereas Dash has items, Dromai has dragons. And for some heroes, that's very difficult to deal with. So I think Dromai has tools to attack the metagame in her own way, whereas the heroes in B tier kind of aren't that great or aren't really that strong enough at what they do to compete with the heroes above them. Moving on to Phi, I also have no idea where to put Phi. I'm just going to put him in B tier for now. I think all the hype is going to be on Katsu. I think that maybe there's some potential to go back to like Kadachi Fire or something. Searing Emberblade is still a really strong card. But I think in general, like we saw last meta how Oldham and Icelander just like kind of push Phi out of the meta. And I don't see why that wouldn't be the case now. But maybe, Phi with like Vambrace or something instead of Shuko and all that stuff beats Oldham. But then, might struggle in the Icelander. I honestly have no idea. Phi is just like another one of those like quote unquote aggro heroes similar to like Briar and Viserai that are just like not in the best spot in the meta, and also probably won't get a lot of spotlight on them with all the new stuff. Icelander can't help but put in S tier. I mean, we continue to see Michael Hamilton's dominance on Icelander, and Icelander just has a lot of very powerful tools. Now, will that still be the same in the new meta? I'm not sure, but I think it'll be a. I don't think it'd be. It's too early to discount her, I would say. So I'm sure Icelander can also adapt to whatever the meta turns out to be. So I'm going to put Icelander in S tier. Kano, I'll put him in B tier also. I think Kano in general. I'm not even sure how the Wizard versus Wizard matchup goes for Kano versus Icelander, but against a lot of other decks, if they're not respecting your combo and they don't have heavy AB, you can kind of just blow them up really early in the game. But again, he's very fragile, probably doesn't see a lot of representation or top very well, but I wouldn't be surprised if like some random Kano just top 8s the PT in Baltimore just because he's on no one's radar for the most part, and that's usually where Kano shines. Katsu, I'm just gonna put him in A tier. He's probably going to be the most represented aggro deck going forward. Does that mean I think he's S tier or in the best spot? Not necessarily. He has like a good matchup into Dromai, but I'm not sure how well he would do against like Oldhim, Icelander, Azalea, even Dash. So while I have him in A tier right now, I wouldn't mind honestly putting him in B tier just because aggro, like these, not straightforward, but like the aggro of ninjas and runeblades doesn't feel like they're in a great spot overall, but it does feel like Katsu with all the new tools and a lot of people are going to try him out. I would just expect a lot of Katsu, so I'll put him in A tier for now. Levia, I'm just gonna put her in C tier. Not too much to say there. She's hasn't really changed too much. She got some tools in Dynasty with like Berserk and even like the Skullcrack, but overall not in a great spot, I would say. Lexi, I'm putting Lexi in S tier. I think the codexes in Lexi are some of the strongest things we've seen in the game so far. It extends her turns like crazy, and I think just like at the current moment, I would say Lexi is the deck to beat. I think even Guardian will struggle into her just because of how much damage she can output now. And against like other matchups like Dromai, Lexi can probably even race that now, whereas before that was a pretty bad matchup. Azalea, on the other hand, probably has the edge into Lexi just because of Red in the Ledger, and Lexi is much more dependent on her arsenal/double arsenal, whereas Azalea has Death Dealer. So, and Azalea is also a bit more resilient to like ice and frostbite attacks because of Death Dealer giving her an extra card, lets her like play out her turns a lot better. But outside of that matchup, I think in general, Lexi probably just has like the best, or not the best matchup spread, but she is currently what I feel is the hero that is doing the strongest things in the game. So I would put her in S tier. I would probably just put her as like, I wouldn't call her the best deck, but in this like first impressions, it's the deck to beat is what I would say. Oldhim, I'll just throw in S tier. Oldhim does what Oldhim does. He's never out of the meta, even after the Winter's Will ban. People will find a way to make Oldhim work, and that's just because he has so many tools available to him with Earth, Ice, Guardian, Stalagmite, Rampart, Tunic, Crown. Like, there's just so many things going for Oldhim that you can never really count him out. Reinhardt, I'll put in B tier also. I felt like in the last meta, Reinhardt had some opportunities to sort of shine through with like, what's that card? Like, not most lists don't run barraging beatdown. Some lists don't run barraging beatdown anymore, but still like you can have a lot of not unfair turns, but like good turns, and you can play a very mid-rangey like 2-card 7 or 2-card 8 game. But I just don't think that's going to be enough in this format. So I'd put him in B tier also. Riptide, I'd put in C tier. I don't think he does that well. While he may have a good time into like aggressive matchups where like your traps can get a lot of value and you have a lot of arrows with good on hits, like you just run into any hero with a regular weapon and it just feels like you're at a massive disadvantage. Azuri is a very weird one to place for me. I'm honestly gonna put her in A tier right now because I think that she has better tools to attack what I expect the meta to be, if that makes sense. I think she has a good game plan into Ranger. I think she can figure out a way to have a good game plan into like Oldham and Guardian. And against aggressive decks, she can also like disrupt as well as present a good amount of damage for decks that don't want to block. So I feel like Uzuri has a lot of tools available to her. Tar Pit Trap. Wait, is that Ranger only? I don't remember. But she has a lot of traps, like the Ranger slash Assassin traps are all very good. And even like Frailty Trap's also very good. There's just a lot of things going for Uzuri. Leave No Witnesses is like CNC for a 0 for 4 or 4 for, a 0 cost 4 attack is actually quite a big deal, because if you want to disrupt Lexi with a CNC, keeping 2 cards versus keeping 1 card is like very different. But I think I think just in general, Uzuri has a lot of tools. Now, do I think that she will perform well, say at like the Pro Tour? I'm not sure, because even though I do think she has a lot of tools going for her, I'm not sure that her representation will be high, or B, that people will be able to figure out a deck list that kind of like attacks the meta well enough. Because it's one of those things where like Uzuri is one of those toolbox attack the meta type of decks, but if the meta isn't really solved, or no one's like talking about like Lexi, if Lexi's not like 40% of the meta and you can't tech for that, and it's like a wide open meta, Uzuri probably doesn't do great. Like if there's like some random Bravos here, some random Dories there, some random Oldhams, some Dash, then it's just like, then your deck isn't doing what it's most powerful at, which I think really captures the feel of what LSS was trying to go for with this Assassin, where it's like you're kind of like preparing and targeting a certain thing. And so I think that's really interesting and cool. But I would put it in an A tier. And then lastly, Viserai, I would just also put him in B tier. He's kind of just like another aggressive deck for the most part, except he needs more cards to do what he wants to do. So being disrupted is much tougher for him. I'd probably put him above Rhinar and Kano though. And then like, yeah. So I could honestly probably put another tier in this tier list, but like, for example, like Briar and Phi, I would put like just like B plus almost, and then like Bravo, Dory, Viserai, maybe like B, and then Rhinar and Kano maybe like B minus. But yeah, so this is my tier list for the new Outsiders meta. I don't think I missed anything. I'm sure tons of things will change once like the PT happens, once more events happens, and then once like Road to Nationals comes around. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Azalea is up in S, or like a Dash is up in S, or like Lexi maybe even goes down to A, because people are able to target her very well. But for the most part, I'm pretty comfortable with how this list is. If I had to order all of the tiers, this is probably pretty close to how I would order it. I might even put a Riptide above Levia. I don't even know. But yeah, so this is my tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. And yeah, if you made it this far to the end of the video, let me know what kind of content you guys want to watch. Some days I just like don't really know what type of video to make, so I don't really do anything. But give me some ideas in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching.